Hey everyone, welcome along. Great to have you with us. I can see FS22, welcome to you, sir, and Peter Tatum. Great to see you guys there. It promises to be an interesting day. Hopefully everything is running the way. I'll just do a quick check of all of my bits and pieces, and that looks promising. So we should have sound and video working properly, but oh, that's no good, Peter. We might jump into the stream. I can't imagine that emphysema is much fun to battle at all. So hopefully you'll. Well, I don't hope that I'll put you to sleep, but at least maybe being awake is a little more tolerable. So where are we at here? Okay, we have a game. So maybe if I actually put it on your screen, you would have a chance of seeing it. How's that? There we go. So yeah, great to have everybody along. So we are back on Newlands, and I was just observing something very interesting. I've rolled over, we're in May now, and these are the global transport packs that I've been using for making it easier to distribute the products across to the market. And something very odd has occurred. So all of the productions that produce the vegetables and flowers that go in here operate at different rates. Yet magically, when I load in today, strawberries in that pallet, 1214. Lettuce in that pallet, 1214. Tomatoes, the same. Flowers, the same. Red cabbage, the same. And if I come over here, have a guess what I find in the package for the trees. And the eucalyptus produce much faster than anything else. So something weird. There is a very weird bug affecting these global transport pallets. There's bamboo at 1214. And the only one that's different is aloe vera at 1,000. So I have no idea. I can't even begin to imagine how that could occur. So we'll let time run on, because what should happen, we might move this one back, because they won't magically spawn into those pallets. But if there's some issue with them, we need to try and track it down and diagnose it, because it's a bit of an odd one. Not something that I've encountered. Okay, now I have a... Let's put some headphones on. I could possibly hear sound. Trouble with the morning stream. You just kind of... Brain's not operating at 100%. So let's just pull this pallet back so that it doesn't auto-fill. You haven't seen these pallets before. They just connect directly on, and there's also a cover function, which I think is Z. There we go. So you can make them look like they're real transport pallets. So I think they're pretty cool. An 82 Studios mod. But, oops, that really odd behavior is sort of doing my head in at the minute. So that's where we're at. We don't really have enough. With only 1214 litres, we don't have enough to warrant sending our truck across to the yard, and nothing more's popped out here, so we won't worry about those. All the productions are running pretty much. What have we got here? We need some solid fertilizer, but we're a bit light on funds at the minute. So we might just hold off doing that. Our vegetables are growing, so they should produce progressively. And from last time, if you were with us last week, you might remember that we put the sheep in. So we've got the first Garrick 31 litres of wool, and they are healthy and fed, food and watered. We are running Maize Plus on here, and the other thing I did during the week was put in this crossing, so we can come back and have a look. In fact, I put 2 in. I did one just using the landscaping tool, which is here, and I thought we could evaluate them during the day. I think I did a reasonable job of sort of blending it in. And then this one, I actually got into the Giants editor and copied the crossing down there and moved a copy of it up here and fiddled around to place it, and then used the smoothing tool. So this one kind of looks more like it's always been there, or was properly put in, whereas the other one's a bit more agricultural in nature. So happy to take opinions on those as we collect people through the course of the stream. Just grab a drink on the hard stuff this morning because the coffee's almost cold. So if we head down and check on our fields and such, we have a few jobs to do. The cows should be in pretty good shape. So, I did place a manure pit, and nothing has happened there yet because we don't have any straw. Over here we have our cows. We can shut that gate. So they are fed, they're just missing straw, so that's okay. And over here in the field, so this is our sugar beet, and you can see we have a burgeoning weed problem. So small weeds, so we're going to need to deal with those, which I think is the order of business. Our barley crop over the other side there will be ready for harvest, I think, next month. And over here's the corn we put in last time, and it's got a small weed problem as well. So I'm thinking in terms of the day-to-day, the first thing we need to do is grab a tractor, and this one might do. Take the JD and head across to the shop. I've picked out a weeder which we can have a look at, and we can bring it back and get the weeding sorted. So that might be the first plan. The silver beet field won't take very long to get sorted, and then potentially we can put course play on the cornfield if we don't want to do it ourselves. There are a couple of other jobs I'm keen to do. Anybody up to anything interesting this week? What's happening in your world? We know Peter's not feeling the best. There's that train that gets stuck there. I was wondering if I should take a carriage off it, because I have no plans to use it, and it always gets stuck on the hill right there. My Giants editor skills don't extend far enough to actually fix the slope. I suspect that's what the problem is. It's just too steep. you haven't seen the town before, this is quite a nice little, nice little village as we take out a sign. Market on the left we just passed is where we sell most of our stuff. So that's the weeder that I grabbed. It's just on there. So we have a look in the shop. Weeders. We just leased this one, I think. Yeah, the 9 meter. So that should do the trick. Only needs 90 horsepower. So we just leased it for now, and we'll see how it goes. And I've got a few different ones there should they be required in the future. Looking ahead to next month, just to sort of acquaint you all with the options, we'll have a barley harvest to do. And I'm thinking, because of sort of, there's a bit of a nod to the location, we could go to one of the conventional modern harvesters. We're going to have to lease pretty much whatever we do. But given that I sort of feel like this location's in Germany somewhere, probably sort of a little towards the eastern side, given its lack of development, I was wondering, I thought I had loaded, there was that one, potentially, that might be a bit small. I might pop out because I've obviously not activated it. Let's do that before we go any further. Let's bear with me just a second, folks, while we drop out of here and start again, because obviously I did not select the bisons there. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Ah, here we go. This portrait stuff, which all you're not selecting. There we go. So there's a whole bunch of portrait mods which come out of a factory, or came out of a factory in East Germany, the end of the 20th century, and that might be kind of interesting to try out, and in a bit fitting with the sort of farm we've developed here. So those were the ones that I was looking at, just to see where we were, see how we go, and just to do something a little bit different. But as I say, in keeping more with the style of this map, potentially. Given that our backstory was very much about the garden centre, and developing the map is sort of adjacent to that, developing the farm rather. And to that question that you asked me in the last stream, Peter, about that Berkman trailer, I noticed there's a mod on the ModHub, an update today of exactly that trailer. So I think it's by ER Shabba, if I'm not mistaken. Right, so let's go back and get our weeder, and I'll just pop in. So now we should have, right, so something like this, I'm sort of thinking. So it's not the biggest harvester we've ever seen, but neither's our field, particularly in the first year. And it just gives us something that's a bit more in, I think, potentially in keeping with the area, and a price that's affordable. So, I mean, if we were to lease that, it's only 4,500. Potentially, we could just buy it. So that's kind of the plan that's running through the back of my mind as we sit here in May and look ahead to next time. But let's go and get this weeding sorted out. And given we've not got a long list of jobs in this particular day, what we might do is just bump the time up a whisker and kind of let it naturally progress to the next game day. That will also enable us to see what's going on with those product spawning and the weird entries in those pallet bags. So I can't for the life of me think what's happening there. It's almost as though in some part of the game where they're stored, they're not uniquely identified, and so the game's saved and exited and reloaded, they get all set to the same value somehow, same volume. Let's unfold you. Yeah, so 9 meters shouldn't take too long at all to do this little patch of sugar beets. Let's try and do it without ripping up the barley in the field next door. That's taking that out. Yes, excellent. That works all right. Given that we've now got sheep on the go, I was starting to look ahead. There's no spinnery on this map, so if we want to process our wool, which I think we do, we'll need to put down a spinnery. And so just starting to think about where to locate that. It won't, I think it might be just a bit too cramped if we try and put it in beside where we put the sheep pen. So we might have to go with another location. I'm inclined, I kind of like to get the chains close so you're not spending all your time transporting product across the map. I know you can put tools in to make that easier, but it's to me it kind of works a little bit better if things are generally close, particularly if they're in the same production family or chain. Yeah, this is going to nail this pretty quickly, isn't it? Which is good. I haven't caught up in the news this morning. Was there any World Cup activity in the last 24 hours that any of you are following? Let's get over there and get those last two. The advantage of it the crop only just sprouting, as we can at least see where the weeds have popped through. Put a few offcuts of wooden bits and pieces on the trailer there, on the IT runner back there, so we could potentially run those down to, we could do one of two things. We could put them through our wood chipper, although we've got plenty of compost and wood chips stored up, or we could run them down the heating factory and turn them into ash. Either is a reasonable thing to do. In fact, maybe we'll take them to the wood, one of the wood places, and then while we're out, we can pick up a little bit of the rubbish that's scattered around the map and take that across to the recycling centre. That might be a good plan also. It's, if you haven't seen it, kind of the map maker's alternative to collectibles is to put a little bit of refuse boxes and pallets and tires and all sorts of things scattered around the map, and if you take them to the recycling centre, you get a small nominal cash reward. It's just another activity, just adds a little quirk. This is nailing this fairly fast. Fairly big patch there. Fine with the weeders, you have to run them on course play. If you just try and use the regular AI with precision farming on, they tend to get a little bit confused by the patches of weeds, and you spend all your time restarting them. They detect sections where there's no weeds and conclude they've finished the field, when, you know, 20 or 30 meters in front of them there's a big patch like this one. Get around there, come on. Right. I still haven't been able to figure out which of the fields is up for auction, which is a shame. Not that we've got the cash for it at the minute, and the fields on this map aren't particularly expensive, but I thought the auction mod was a pretty neat idea, and whoops, we just missed one. Okay, that's that job done. I might as well whip round into a headland. And then we can, we might get we'll do the first headland just to get an edge established, and then get this tractor on a worker doing the up and down section, I think. Might be the way to go. The other thing we'll have a look at is what the fertilization on these two fields is like. And that will enable us to make a decision about how much fertilizer to buy. I know we need more for the garden centre, so it's just a matter of what we can afford right at the minute. I was expecting to have a few thousand more. But that funny issue with the bags seems to be getting in the way. Corn crop looks fairly healthy. Ultimate plan is to chaff this corn, so we won't necessarily let it fully grow. That's another reason for going for a smaller harvester. So for the moment, main purpose of the barley on the other field is to give us a cheap seed or cheap grain that we can use for seed. It's kind of the concept, and also try a hand a little bit with as part of Maize Plus some whole crop silage. That's the idea. There's one headland. So let's jump into this play in just a second when we get our full loop completed. Up here. About here, I'd reckon. So let's create a job, course play field work. Look at the course generator. That size looks about right. We only want 2 headlands. Start work on the center. Corners clockwise. Bypass, generate the course. That'll do. Where are you looking to start? Let's see how you attack this. The start point is where it's down behind us. It looks. Just watch and see what happens. Where are you going? Right, you found the end. Okay, we know that. You're still looking for the first waypoint. Now you might be onto something here, champ. Spin round, line up. Righto. Now what's happening over here? Okay, so we've had some trees spawn. You've still got 12, 14. No fruit spawned. No bamboo spawn. We know aloe and bamboo are not running, don't we? I think that was the conclusion we reached. Let's have a look here. Right, so yes, aloe vera is running. It's coming up to spawn. So let's see, although it is out of solid fertilizer. So how is it running? It can't be running. Can't be running. But everything else is good. Okay. So what we might do, because they're all... Oh, tomatoes have increased. We got 500 out of tomatoes. Oh, so maybe it's only a log off thing. Maybe that's all it is. Can't remember how to trigger this. Yeah, there you go. Pick it up. So they're loading, and that's going to give us enough to warrant sending across to the market before it closes. So we'll just wait for them to load up. And what's that? Check our little stock check tool here. So that's eucalyptus, which is down here, 1700. So we're going to have about 5 grand's worth of those. That'll buy us a little bit of fertilizer. So it's worth grabbing that. This in our little truck here. Send the man on his way. Line it up as best we can. There we go. Lock them on. Let's send our auto driver across to the market sell point. And if he doesn't get hung up, which he did. G'day, Star Rainbow. Welcome along. Great to see you there. He's gotten hung up on the first obstacle. So let's just get in and get you out of there. It's just an annoying collision on that post. That should be better. Hope you're well, Star Rainbow. Nice to have you along today. Now, the next job we were going to do, because with that weedable run, is let's take the cedar off there and find... There it is. The IT runner trailer. We can take that container off. The sheep eggs. The sheep are well. Oops. What's happened here? Let's try doing that again. Now do that. So our sheep are happily, they produced their first 30 litres of... just make sure I've got the correct tool selected. There we go. Their first 30 litres of wool. G'day Jason, welcome along. Good to see you. Hope you're well, sir. So we'll just pull you up there and jump out. So our sheep are over here, doing quite nicely. Done a little bit of road work, as you can see. There is a tiny amount of, well, we're up to 40 litres, setting the world on fire. I have installed two options for rail crossing. One is just straight landscaping, which I think came up pretty well, if I may say. And the other was I copied the crossing that was further down and did this one obviously in Giant's Editor. And I think I did a fairly passable job of putting that one in as well. So if you kind of look at them from above, they look fairly reasonable. So I figured it was a good experiment. I now know how to do both. The trickiest part of the one in Giant's Editor is getting it on the same incline as the track you're trying to match it to. But I got there in the end. So happy to take feedback and thoughts on see what you think. So that's where we're at with that one. For the new arrivals, Star and Jason, we have weeded the sugar beet. So that's all good to go. I've got a trailer full of odds and ends here, which we're going to go look for somewhere to sell for cash. Does the wood price come up on here? It does not. So we will look for wood, which now shows on here because I made another fix to the map. It didn't originally. The farmer's market takes wood. We're not going to go to the farmer's market with that wood trailer on. That would be just painful. The biomass heating plant. So that's where we might take it. Where is the biomass heating plant? Where are we? It's over here, I think. Carpentry. Okay, they're both there, so that's easy enough. Let's head over there. Oop. So he's reached the sell point, but he's not selling. Let's go and just deal with that little issue. Just not quite. It's got to do with how I put the this pallet in the truck. Now it's fine. So now we can send you back to our potted tree load. And get back to our trees. Oh, there's another one. Let's deal with you because you'll only be small. You're not working properly, that's better. You into a couple of pieces that I can pick up. Spot in the back here somewhere. Pop you in there. Right. That should be everything. Pretty much guarantee that we'll find some more wood the minute I come back and look. Got a little bit of foliage caught under the trailer. That wouldn't be the first time I've done that. This was just to remind myself that doing oak trees is really annoying after doing a little bit of work on Silver Run where the trees are remarkably well behaved by comparison. I reckon I spent a little bit more time editing trees on this map to fix their definitions during the week. I reckon I'm about a third of the way through. It's quite a tedious job. At least it is the way I'm going about it. Well, my day really began with the stream, so it's a new dawn, so to speak. 8 o'clock, well, it's quarter to 9 in the morning now, so I haven't caught up on any of the news of the day. Did have time. Which way are we going up here? It's just, we're on the correct road. So I did check the Giants website. I saw that there's been obviously something put out about the Year 2 Seasons Pass. Didn't, the couple of excerpts, which were really of people's comments that I read, didn't fill me with joy. Oh, there you go, Peter. That sounds like a good one. Yeah, I think I might wait and see on the Year 2 Seasons Pass. I was hoping for a little more than was announced. I was certainly hoping for more in the animals What are we doing here? We're on the wrong side because I think the heating plant is at the back. Although this is a sawmill, it's probably a sell point here too. What we got over here? There it is. I think there are, it's two new ones, so I've got a chance of finding the trigger when I step on it. There it is. There you go, 4 and a bit grand, so that's not too bad. Now the other thing we were going to look at was what is the fertilization state on our fields. pH is okay, so we need to get some fertilizer on. So I'm thinking that heading over and buying some fertilizer might be a good idea, and then we can get that sorted. Now, what's the route from this part of the world? If we go down here, there's a complicated route onto the freeway, but that's okay. Let's do a little bit of exploration, and if we see some stuff that needs to go to the recycling center along the way, we can load it on. That factory that you're talking about, Peter, sounds quite familiar. It may well be one that I've used myself. So it should do the trick for you. Peter was describing in the last stream, he's running on Western Wilds at the moment, and has 1,200 sheep and 300 odd cattle and pretty much all of the animals, and I think they're eating him out of house and home at present, so he needed some storage for grass product. Now, which way did we decide was the on-ramp? Haven't seen any stuff that needs clearing around here. Let's see how we go down on the freeway there. Nice little sort of hidden field there in front of us. Little blind valley. I quite like the terrain. I had a quick look at it the other day, that playing on multiplayer I can see it potentially being quite useful and practical. On single player, the main use potentially, and I just haven't played around with it, was if it enables me to transfer equipment to Farm Zero. And so what I mean by that is, so the way ownership of equipment is defined on a map. It's got a number attached to it, and each farm has an ID. And farm zero's sort of just general. You normally, as a player, you start with farm 1. But if you put, there's some stuff there. But if you want to have some equipment at the store, you know, like a forklift or some things dotted around the map, but you don't want them to show up on your farm list, let's see what happens when we put these on our trailer. Then you assign them to farm 0. Now on a PC you can go in and edit. Whoops, why did you not want to stand up properly? To achieve that fairly simply. But having a tool that just makes it simple to transfer it, so you're not messing with XML files, strikes me as eminently sensible. So if it works for that, I think it's a useful thing. But as I said, I haven't tried it out yet. I'll be quite interested to see what we get for a car at the recycling centre. Brings it back memories a long time ago, back in the early 90s. My sister was living in Germany for a couple of years, and my wife and I visited her, and it was the very early 90s, so the wall hadn't been down for long, and so she thought it would be a good idea. She'd been there long enough. She'd invested the money she had saved for her return ticket home in a car, so for the first time she actually had some transport. So she thought it'd be really neat to take us into the old East Germany. I've got a couple more bales down here that I didn't pick up the other day. Oh, there's another car there and a tyre. And so we went on this little excursion into East Germany, or what, the former East Germany. And as fate would have it, she blew a gearbox about 300 k's in, which led to a couple of nights and a long series of events. But I remember we finally got to an Opel dealership where they kind of seemed to know what they were doing. And the only bit of the conversation that I recall, and I'd warned her what I thought the problem was, and that it was going to be expensive to fix, but don't worry about it, we would help her sort it out and figure out the details later. And all I remember from is the manager of the dealership walks into the little break room where they'd put us to sit, and he said to my sister, "Das Auto ist kaputt." And she's fluent German speaker, and he tried to explain to her that it was going to cost a couple of thousand Deutschmarks to fix, and so she said, "Oh well, you can keep it then." And so it went from a really odd look on her face to a really odd look on his face, and so then a long conversation ensued, because it turns out to dump a car in Germany at that point. Are we going to get under the bridge? Oh, just attracted 1,000 Deutschmark fee in itself, because the market was being flooded with all the little Trabants that everybody was trying to get rid of. So that was a challenge. In the end, we left it in a street, and she came back with some friends a week or so later in a transport trailer and shipped it back. But that was our adventure into East Germany. Complete aside, nothing to do with farming, although we did drive through some farmland when the roads ran out. The map said there was a road, but there wasn't. Rightio, so let's see, can we get up there? We'll just go up to the recycling centre and see what our haul here attracts, and then we'll come back and get some fertiliser and get some that spread on those fields. I don't understand why it's complaining about hauling 2 cars and this mess up the hill. Well, travel generates lots of stories. Star Rainbow. And sometimes you... well, it's one of the reasons I love to travel, is that there's always something interesting people that you meet. Those the 2 nights that we spent on that little adventure were the first 2 nights my wife spent in a youth hostel, because the 2 towns we broke down in, the first night and the second night, turns out they were overrun with conventions and there was no hotel accommodation to be had for love nor money. So we ended up really scrambling to get somewhere to stay. The first night we were in this really rundown, we were the only people in this really rundown hostel, but it was a bed and it was fine, so it wasn't a great experience. My wife wasn't overly thrilled with the standard of accommodation. Sonia was kind of used to it, my sister, but the second night we ended up on the outskirts of town in a place. Let's see, what's a car worth? The Echo car is worth 1,000. Oh, they're worth junking. Cool. But yes, this Ukrainian refugee and his wife weren't listed in the main accommodation because they were Ukrainian refugees, so they weren't really accepted in town. They lived on the outskirts. They had a lovely place, and we slept in the attic under the thickest goose down doona I've ever seen in my life, and he was a terrific bloke. But they told quite a story of their escape from the Ukraine into originally East Germany. I'll get in there. Right. So if you haven't seen it before, this is how the recycling system works, and this is the proxy for recyclables on this map. So each item has a sell price, and instead of collectibles you do it this way. So I don't usually go out of my way to find them. It's more if we're driving past something and we've got a trailer on. There's another one in there. Is it? Oh, because it's not quite in there. I figure it's worth picking them up. $47 for a cardboard box. Right, let's go and get some fertilizer and get that spread. Would have laughed if you could have repaired and repainted that Echo before I trashed it. I'm sure there's others around. We could try it out, Jason. That would be amusing, yes. Picking it up, I didn't have the sense that was any more than an object. Nothing seemed to move or wiggle around like a regular vehicle would. But that gives us a little bit more money, so that's a good start. So if you look across there, there's trash and stuff sitting over in the edge of the buildings around here. There's a mattress and once you look for it, the more you see dotted around town. Let's just organize some fertilizer here. Solid fertilizer. Let's go with Helm today. What's 8 worth? It's not going to go to waste, so 14. That might be a little close. Let's get 6. If we run out of cash, we can't use workers to help us. Width. That should be pretty close. Oh, come on. That's it. Not an ideal truck for this trailer for this job, but I could take it off the back if we were too concerned about it. Rightio, let's see, can we line these up? I know I can't lift 4 successfully, I've tried that before. Depth perception nailed me again. Come on, there you go. That's better. Okay. Looks like we've got a couple of lurkers in the background. Welcome along. Glad to have you here. Lurking is perfectly fine, but if you do want to say hello, we'd love to hear from you. I understand that some people watch at work or whilst doing other activities, don't have hands on a keyboard. That's perfectly fine. I'm just very happy to have you along. Come on, down you go. Oh. There we go. Which map are you playing on, Star Rainbow? Yeah, we're going to be able to put you on over the top of those. Let's see. Let's try and be clever and split the difference here. There we go. Good job. Frankenmuth, maybe? That would be my guess. I have not tried that map. Let's try turning this guy off. And back you up. What sort of farm do you have there, Star Rainbow? Are you cropping or... Goodness man, let's just accept that we missed the gate and do a loop. You running any animals? Okay, 11:14. This lady loves running out in front of heavy vehicles. Rule seeker. Oh no. Don't you hate it when that happens? Always a disaster when somebody deletes your map. I've been known to make the odd mistake and realise I've thrown away critical things that I need. It would appear our weeder has finished work. We might just inspect, but he looks like he's done a pretty good job. I don't see much evidence of weeds in the field, so that's good. Let's see here. Now, where... I think I had a spreader, did I not? There it is. Looks like we need a little bit of TLC on this tractor too. I suppose it's done a little bit of work for us. Now let's see here. Have we got nitrogen reference value is fine, automatic is fine. Let's turn you on and see what happens. That's doing okay. Shouldn't take more than... oh, we only got 50 litres of... we're not going to finish this field, are we? Would help to check that we're stocked up before we start fertilising there. Let's see if we can shovel some off the back of the tray here. odd shaped fields. Come on, get to the end. And there we go. How much left in there? 627. Are you playing on a shared device, Star Rainbow? We're gonna go. Oh. It's looking at the mini map. Fields a better color there. Probably 2 more bags will be plenty. Any luck? Not close enough. Actually, let's put another one in so that I don't have to do that again. And we'll go over to where we were. Pick up the edge of that. Was around about here. Mr. Squidge in the corner. G'day Tanner, welcome along. Great to see you. Nice to have you in with us. That sounds like a really good idea, Jason. Keep your own save. Just try and protect yourself. Oh, what am I doing? I've managed to split the difference. Good job. We're just, as you can see, fertilizing here, Tanner. We've done the weeding, so that's all sorted. And this field should be in good shape. We'll check it all in just a moment. Oh, there's a little bit just there. Where's this other bit that I missed up here? Messing with your Steam account. It's not good. I don't know if you can, never tried, get in touch with Steam and get them to reset you. Change your access details. But I can imagine that would be very annoying. Right. Let's just have a look. I think that's pretty much everything. Oh, there's one little spot right in the middle. But apart from that, they look pretty healthy. Which is good. pH is as good as it's going to get. So that's all progressing nicely. We are growing, just about ready to harvest. We're not going to do any rolling because we don't have a roller. Let's just come back into the center and find that little patch that we missed. Where are you? Oh, there it is. Have you run a virus scanner on your PC, Star Rambo? Make sure you don't have malware that's watching you. Oh, there we go. There's a piece of wood that I was talking about. Right there. We said we'd find one as soon as we got back. Oh, there's two. So let's go up here. We can take the fertilizer, spread her off. Where are we? Want to go here? It's on the service portion of this service trailer's on the right on this side, I think. Yeah, it just sounds like, well, what have I got to do to unlock this? Activate service function is M. It's the gill. I don't want the gill. Ah, because the service is on the other side. There we go. If you haven't used the service trailer before, I think it's a cool thing. It's a PC mod. But it gives you an area that you can put your gear in, highlights, and then on the thing at the back here, it comes up and tells you what the deal is. And now I can go to the workshop for my fence and find that we don't have enough money to repair it. Ouch. Right, well, that's going to have to wait for another day. Yes, the diesel is on this side. I should have known that, but it's really well done. Really well done. So to do diesel and DF, if you want. So that's not going to work. We need more cash. So where have we heard that story before? Let's go over to we don't need to do anything with the cows. The fields are set. We're almost ready to roll forward to the next day, but then we need more cash to solve for our harvester situation. So let's see what's been happening over here. So we've got a really curious thing going on. Okay, our worker is stuck somewhere. That's why we're running out of cash. Where is he? Ah, he got stuck in the yard. He must have got there just on 9 o'clock. Okay, he'll have to stay. So, as I was saying, a really curious thing I observed when we logged on today. This bag, well, in fact, all of these bags had exactly the same amount of product in them, 1,214 litres. And as did the bags over here. The only one that was different was this one round the corner, which only had 1,000 litres in it. So that was a remarkable coincidence that was just a bit too close for my liking, so I don't know what the cause was. That said, what's the right strategy here? We can go to market and take those trees, which will give us enough cash then to repair the fence. Or we can accept, I'm just working through in my head. I talked about it a little bit earlier on. The harvester that I'm thinking of for our farm here is this Fortschritt out of Eastern Europe, and I think it's kind of the right speed and look. The light brown looks pretty khaki, so I'm kind of thinking more Ford-esque colours. But something like that might fit quite nicely onto this map and our circumstance. The capacity is not too bad for the fields that we're running. So that would set us back about 90,000. So what I'm thinking is if we're going to have to go to the bank manager again. And if we're going to do that, we might as well borrow enough to solve for our immediate cash crunch. So we've got 405. Might as well take that up to the maximum. That gives us then enough to get the harvester. So let's do that. The E516, what's the difference? 516B. Not obvious at all to me what the difference is. We'll put the little yellow extension on for 1,000 litres so the grain doesn't blow out. We'll leave the rim colours, I think. Yes. Like so. Yes, that would be very useful. Completely agree. And I think we're going to buy it because that's in keeping with the fact that it's cheap. And we're going to need a header. So harvesting barley, so one of those which we can't afford. So we need another 20-odd thousand, which we will get from selling the trees before we need to harvest. Because these are worth 2,000 each or thereabouts. So there's 8,000 sitting there plus some more stock over here. Let's go and bring that fertilizer up because we can put that in to activate the bamboo and aloe productions that are not running. And I'm at a bit of a loss as to what's happening with those bags, and I swear I've lost some product. It can only be that they're not registered properly. That's the only thing I can think of. But when I say not registered properly, it's sort of like the way the game's recorded them. When it closes out or saves, for some reason it gives all of them the same volume of product. Which means they're not saved with a unique ID. Or there's just a bug in the game which doesn't expect to find duplicates in the file that they're stored in. So it just searches for the first one. It's very odd, whatever it is. And I suspect the only way to deal with it is to make sure before I save that they're empty. If we come over here, I've left you in the way. Good spot to leave the trailer. Unloading out of there. Yes. Right. Whoop, don't put that through the window. Oh, look, mate, you got to do the hard yards. Welcome along, Mr. Haythornwaite. Great to have you here. This is just a new experiment that I'm doing with the Adelshaven. This is my normal stream slot, and what I did was add in the one on the Australian Monday evening. Yeah, that's the really bizarre thing, right? So the crops stayed as they were. So the products in each one, what was the same was they all had the same volume. And given all of these produce spawns at a different rate, the only thing I knew for certain is they couldn't possibly have had the same volume. You can see how prolific the eucalyptus were, and that was the dead giveaway. When it had the same volume as all of these, that was obviously an issue. So there is some really weird bug going on there. But I will give it some thought now that I've seen it and try and track it down. I might put a post. I don't know how to get in touch with 82 Studios. Don't know which of his social media he reads, but I might just put something up and see if anyone else has seen it. So there should be plenty of solid fertilizer now in the distributor. There is, so that should head around. So we should start to get those out. You can't run because you're full, and all of these are pretty much full of taro, so we might as well turn the grass off. Right. Next job then is to switch backs. Okay. Let's put the other. Oh goodness, hit the correct key, you doofus. That's better. Put the flat back on. And then we can load this guy up with some trees. Just pull you forward, Whisker. Which means we need light forks. Where are they? In here? Yes. But to your observation, Mark, yeah, the loose plan here is Adelshoven is an extension of the video series. And so the idea was I still wanted to get an episode out. And I knew that doing streaming in the Australian evening wouldn't be popular for... Oh, I need the other adapter, do I? No. Wouldn't necessarily be popular with a lot of the audience for just all time zone reasons. So I thought at least I can continue the series. So I'm trying to do basically a month in the 2-hour stream. And if people are interested, they can watch the stream to keep up with what's going on there. And so that's why in the stream I was running the clock at 6 times, because that actually works pretty well for a 2-hour for a 2-hour stream to get through a game day. So that was the rationale. And what I'll do over the next, probably give it a whirl until Christmas and see what happens. And if it's, oops, get it on there. If it's popular, so, more than a dozen people are watching sort of thing, then I'll keep doing. If it's not getting much interest, then, I'll keep playing Adelshoven because I like it. But it might be time to move on. So it's very much an experiment, and it's also an opportunity if there is any Australian audience out there to catch up with them. So that's my rationale. What it is. There we go. So we'll be hoiking these trees over the fence at the market at the other end, but prevailed, well, as much realism as I can muster, I'll load them with a forklift at this end. Yeah, well, so in 2 weeks in, and it sort of worked. It worked reasonably well. We had some people along, and you know, some people like yourself notice that I'm there, and then I'm, you know, from a European standpoint, I'm back streaming again in the same day. But it's not as much work as putting out a video. The prep is pretty much the same because I've still got to think about what I want to do and how it's going to go, and is the map ready to do that, and have I tested things that could get horribly out of hand, all those sorts of things. So that side of it's the same, it just doesn't have the editing overhead or the upload, because the upload process all sort of happens behind YouTube's covers once the stream's finished. We've got another product we can put on here if we're going to market. There you go. Done well so far. Nothing there, nothing there. Flip over here. No. Oh, that's all right. We will make do with these. And so we'll load you on. We'll try and select the correct tool. These IT runners are certainly helpful for getting stuff that's sitting on the ground. It's much easier to load onto that flatbed than watch everybody wrestle with semi-trailer height things, and it's like, actually this is really straightforward. So I'm thinking that potentially a spinnery in on the left hand side here might be where we end up placing it, just sort of nestled in against the escarpment, because it won't quite fit alongside the sheep pen. Barley is looking healthy. The other thing we'll need, I suppose we can just store our straw straight in the hayloft. We're going to put some in with the cows because then we'll start to get manure. So every episode we're bumping along a little bit, I think. Where are we time-wise? 20 to 10. I think we're going okay with Maize Plus. I've sort of, whoops, where I want to be. In terms of my, well, our animals are fed and they're eating and healthy, so that's good. We've got things happening. So we managed to get the sheep. I quite liked, was it that one? What was the, I quite like this mod that came out, is very useful, which just helps you know what components, and this kind of demystified it a little for me. So you've got several components that can constitute the different parts of the food, and then you just play with the mix according to your preference. So once I kind of realized you didn't have to do everything, that you could choose a mix that made sense to you, things got a little bit simpler. We haven't too sophisticated. G'day Andrew, welcome along. Lurking is fine here, we have no problems with that. Thank you for saying hi though, we're always keen to know who's listening and get any feedback you might have. This is just an info screen, yeah, so it's just a mod that provides an info screen on a hotkey. It doesn't do anything else. So we'll just, excuse me for a minute, these very heavy things, he's waiting for me to sell some stuff. Let's move that out of the way. So the bollards that our truck got stuck behind are the reason that I can't use the normal delivery method. We'll pop you back up on there. Oops. You've still got product in you. Why didn't you sell that before, you doofus? Does drop check work with Maize Plus? Let's have a look. I don't know in what way, because I don't have any. Well, so it shows grass silage. That's probably the only specific. It shows hay, but that doesn't change. I don't think I have any whole crop silage in bale for. I might have some loose on the ground, so I wouldn't expect it to find that. I'll have a look when we get back to the yard. Actually, we can. Oops, that everything's sold. Okay, we're up to 18,000. Let's zip up here. That truck can stay there. I'm not going to super strength it out. I'll just rescue it next time. Our new harvester should be in the Yeah, they're looking resplendent. And we've almost got enough money for the header. All the Newlands products, I didn't do anything clever with that. So because they're defined in the map, I would have expected them, well, to be picked up, and they were. Where the Newlands products get difficult when you add mods, they don't necessarily pick them up. G'day Cranky, welcome along. Good to see you. No, that is the fourth threat. I'll show you in a second so that I don't get tongue-tied with my pronunciation. I got it in the Ford colours. It's my nod to Eastern Europe is the intention, and the sort of where we're located and the likes. And I only had two choices of colour, and I didn't like what it called brown. It's sort of like baby poo. Let's just duck in here. So the Fort Shrimp, it is. It is the one we've gone for the B, I believe. In the blue, and because the light brown looks more like a cack colour to me, so I decided blue was the order of the day, brighten things up. We'll see it from a distance. And because these were produced out of a factory in Eastern Europe, I thought that was appropriate for this map and where we were setting things up, and just something a little bit different. So that's why I've grabbed those, or that. Now, I was going to look at this bale over here. I don't know if it's regular silage or... So that's grass silage. So that's just regular grass silage. And... you and me both, Star Rainbow. But enjoy your coffee. Thanks for dropping by. Great to see you. Now, where are we here? So that is the grass silage bale that's in front of me, because that one's 7 litres. So it's working fine by the looks. Mark? Because I don't have any other clever product. This lot on the ground was what I was talking about. Where is it? What's that spill there? Oh, I can't even detect what that is. One of these is crop silage. What's in there? So that's got grass silage in it. So one of these is crop silage and the other one is grass silage. And I can't tell which is which because my mouse over cursor doesn't detect it. Oh. That wasn't good. That kicked me out. Didn't like that. Right, where are we up to? Next job is... Now I've got to get back in a vehicle because my mouse died. There we go. I think yeah, 7 litres was just what was left when we made the original mix. I didn't consciously try and save 7 litres. I think either this filled up or I can't remember what it was when we were doing it the other day, because we just put a regular TMR mix in here. And next time we do it, we're going to do we'll do a more Maize Plus style mix, because the plan is to have some sugar beet, which we can cut, and then potentially add a little bit of molasses or one of the other additives, and we might even have a go at some whole crop barley silage. So haven't decided that yet. We'll just wait and see where we're at. Let's head on up here. For new people that have ducked in that were here last week, or weren't here last week, you can see our sheep, and you'll also observe that we have 2 different experimental rail crossings. One is just the landscaping tool, and then the other, I got very adventurous and jumped into Giant's Editor, and I copied the crossing that was just down the street there and lined it up, and I must say, after a little bit of fiddling around, it came up pretty well. So if people would like and are interested, I'm happy to jump into Giant's Editor and just very quickly show you how I did that. It's not super involved, but equally, if people are kind of like, yeah, well, that's okay, I don't need to know that, then I'm fine with that also. So this has none in it, and I'm going to leave it on there. But if you want to give me an idea in chat whether you're interested in seeing that, just let me know. So we've got 2,000 litres in some of these. We haven't seen any lettuce, any tomatoes. Yes, Andrew, there is a train. And the train doesn't work properly. The train has a small issue. Let's have a look. It's right here. I can't get into it, but I can go to Max's place. This map's lovely, but it's got a few incomplete issues. So one of them's right here. So the train gets stuck on this incline and can't make it up the hill. You can see it's just sliding backwards there because this little pinch is just too steep. And my Giant's Editor skills don't extend far enough to Okay, Jason, we'll jump in and do it in a minute. And thank you, Cranky. But yeah, my Giant's Editor skills don't extend to what I suspect is required here, which is to probably change the grade from here up to about here to make it gradual. There's no reason really for it to be actually to come up as high as it does. That would be some serious editing because you've got to get these rail sections sorted out. So what we might do, given that I'm actually at the end of the list of things that I wanted to do in this episode and we're ready to roll over to the next day where we will be harvesting that barley field amongst other things, is we might save at this point and pop out. Yeah, we'll quit that just because I don't want to crash anything if I can avoid it. And if I now switch screens for a second and go to, I realize you can't see just at the minute. I will fix that in just a second. I just need to find the right directories. Games, FS Studio, Mod Safety, Workbench Map, Newlands. So if I now go over here to desktop, so you should be able to see my desktop now. That looks like it is the case. If I go into, I'm just in the Newlands map and I open Giants Editor, it should come up. Oop, and there we go. That's actually where I was putting. So what you can see here is this section of the map when I've just placed the crossing in position before, because I came in afterwards and landscaped that curve up. But what it actually involved, I'm not anything like an expert at moving around in the editor because I haven't quite got all the keys under control. What it involved was taking the object, which in this case is the crossing, and you can see it's inserted down here, and matching it to the parameters of the rail section. So if we look at the rail section, you can see that the origin of this piece of rail is here. And so the physical location is X, Y, and Z. And then the orientation is the angles that it's sitting at from that starting point. And so what I needed to do was take this section, because down here it didn't necessarily have the same rotation, and make it fit. So if I'm not going to mess anything. Whoops. If I move it, I can change it. As you can see, once you start to move it with the cursor, it's very easy to get it wrong, which I've done now. But these are basically, these arrows allow you to move it around. So I can bring it up here, and then you can fine tune in the attributes transform on the right. So if you adjust small increments, you can move the different dimensions up and down. In this particular case, the scale's now wrong. If I go back to the original one that I was copying, where's that object? There it is there, right? So the scale should be 1, 1, and 1. So if we come back to here, and make that back to 1, 1, and 1, now we get our full size object back. And what I had to do was get those rotations to match the track section. Well, the first time I tried it, it was only a little bit out, but I couldn't use the cursor to adjust, so I had to fiddle with those numbers until it was in the right spot. And once it was in the right spot, then it's as simple as saving it And I won't save it here. We'll exit. No, I do not want to save. Once I've exited, go back up to the root menu and put all of those in a zip file and move the zip file, well, use the new zip file to replace the old zip file. That's all it's required to assemble it up. So the fiddliest part is just the positioning, and once you've tried to do some of that, you realize why it takes so long to make a map, because there's so much fine tuning to get things in just the right spot. And if you haven't, if you leave artifacts lying around your map, it's easy to create collisions and things which other people bump into. So, you know, for instance, it'd be very easy to accidentally make an additional copy or leave that crossing in the wrong spot. And then on a big map, as the map editor, very easy to lose track of where things were and what they were up to. So that's our quick foray into the Giants editor. Just to have a quick look at how we did that crossing. And in terms of today, that's probably about where we'll leave it. We're pretty much good for time. I hope that was... You can leave the unzip... Oh, yes. The reason I rezip, Mark, is it just helps me keep things tidy. It stops me accidentally ending up in the wrong directory, and particularly with mods, more so than maps, because I don't normally touch maps. But with mods, I don't accidentally modify the XML if it's zipped up, because I'm only ever dealing with the zipped folder. So that's my, that's my method. You know, it's just the way I kind of choose to do it. But you're absolutely right. As long as I'm in single player, I don't need to be zipped up. I've also got enough horsepower that the game's not dealing with that when it unfolds them. So I am sure, Jason, there are more tools, and that if I got a little better skilled in the keyboard, that I should be able to navigate around a little quicker. I just haven't spent the time. So it was good enough for me. You know, last week I wasn't sure whether I had any real idea. Like I understood how the objects work, but I didn't know if I would be able to tackle it. And it turned out to be not really as complicated as I expected. It was just a little bit fiddly the way to manipulate it, that's all. But that's where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week and find some fun things to do. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you later. See ya.